So our study is a cross-sectional study using a self-administered questionnaire. But before we proceed to the details, did you? This is the outline of my report. And starting off with the introduction, bilateral corneal blindness is estimated to affect 4.9 million people worldwide and is one of the leading causes of blindness in the developing world. Unfortunately, this creates a demand for corneas that far exceeds the supply globally. A global survey done in 2012 estimated that there are 12.7 million people needing corneal transplants, but in the same year, only 185,000 corneal transplants were done. It is estimated that there is only one cornea available for every 70 needed globally. This lack in supply was further worsened by the COVID-19 pandemic, with more stringent procurement guidelines put in place, barring donors with recent exposure to the virus. During the pandemic, the international supply for corneas dropped to 27% of pre-pandemic rates. Multiple factors have been identified behind the global lack of corneal tissue. One would be that although there are eye banking infrastructure in place, they are underdeveloped and insufficient. Most eye banks are ill-equipped to obtain consent for donation, recover and process the corneas, and subsequently distribute them to those needing donor tissue. Aside from the problems in the eye banking system, previous studies have identified possible individual barriers to corneal donation. Demographic factors such as age, religion, and educational attainment have been associated with refusal or willingness to be a corneal donor. Lack of awareness also significantly impacts the decision to donate. National differences have been explored, adding insight regarding corneal donation rates. More developed countries have higher rates of corneal transplantation, with the United States having the highest rate globally. To compare, the US transplants around 199 corneas per million population yearly, while we only transplant around 1.85 per million population annually. This has been attributed to possibly more advanced healthcare and eye banking facilities in more developed countries. The literature on individual factors have also revealed national differences. These are mostly country-based studies and have shown peculiarities depending on where each study is conducted. So this highlights the importance of conducting research locally. And to our knowledge, there are currently no studies on these individual factors that are associated with willingness to donate in the Philippines. This present study aims to identify individual factors associated with attitudes towards corneal donation among Filipinos. The general objective of the study is to evaluate Filipinos' attitudes towards corneal donation and the associated individual factors with the following specific objectives. We now proceed to the methodology. We did a cross-sectional study using a self-administered questionnaire available in both print and an online version and in both English and Filipino. This study design was also approved by the Makati Med IRB. Participants included Filipino citizens, both males and females, 18 years old and above. Patients with active corneal problems and healthcare professionals were also excluded. Non-probability sampling was used. Patients were recruited using posters and flyers posted in the HSP OPD, clinics, others public spaces, and social media. A pre-tested questionnaire was available in both English and Filipino versions and was used to collect data. The questionnaire was adapted from a previously validated questionnaire by Sokya et al., which is an open access from an open access article. On the left is the printed questionnaire, and on the right is the online form we used. These were accessed online via QR codes or links provided on recruitment materials. If participants decided to answer printed forms, these were also made available at the OPD. This is basically the general flow of the data collection procedure. Take note that before we had participants fill out the questionnaire, a consent form had to be signed by the participant. For confidentiality, questionnaires did not contain identifiers, and a numerical code was assigned to each participant. Data was inputted in Microsoft Excel, and only investigators had access to raw data. Analysis was done using Stata version 15 to get the following statistics. So we now proceed to the results. We had a total of 422 respondents, a bit more than the 384 required. This table shows the demographic distribution of the respondents. here, and here. So this is basically just the distribution of the participants. Moving on to the questions on attitudes toward corneal donation, 325 out of 422 respondents said yes when asked if they encourage cornea donation. That is 77% of all the participants. When asked if they are willing to donate organs after death, 271 said yes out of 422. That is 64% of all respondents. Moving on to the main question of the survey, are you willing to donate your cornea? 273 said yes, while 149 said no, making up 65% of respondents. With the following being the most stated reasons for willingness. First is pure intention to help those who need sight, and second is, if it will not harm me, why not? Top reason for the unwillingness was lack of knowledge and relatives' views on the subject. The most stated reason, when asked if they would consent to have a cornea collected from a close relative, less patients agreed with 221. That made up only 52% of respondents compared to 64% of those willing to donate their cornea. The numbers decreased even further when respondents were asked if they are registered donors. Only 15 of 422 are actual registered donors. That is only 4% of the total respondents. With the following being the most stated reasons for not being registered. 160 of the respondents stated that they do not know the process, and 69 admitted to lacking knowledge about corneal transplantation or donation. This is a good segue to the questions on awareness. When asked if they've heard of corneal donation, 236 participants said yes, while 186 said no. That is 56% of the total study population. As to where the participants heard about corneal donation, most frequently mentioned source was broadcast media, such as radio, TV, or newspaper, with 21% reporting this as their source of information. This was followed by social media, which is 16.59%. When asked if they know how to donate their cornea, only 48 said yes, while 374 do not know how to donate their cornea. That is only 11% of the study population. This is a busy table, but basically shows factors inputted into simple logistic regression and multiple logistic regression to assess for their crude association with willingness to donate their cornea. Logistic regression was done to determine, like what I said, just the crude association of the said variables with their willingness to help. Stepwise regression with backward selection was then used to determine which variables will be significantly associated with willingness at a 0.05 level of significance. After the said statistical analysis, these were all the factors that were significantly associated with willingness to donate. So younger age was associated with increased willingness to donate, so was higher educational attainment. Respondents were also more likely to be willing to donate their cornea if they have health professionals in the family, have heard of corneal donation before, and if they know how to donate their cornea. So let's now quickly discuss our results. The study assessed the attitudes of Filipinos towards corneal donation. In our study, 64.69% of respondents are willing to donate their cornea. This is higher than the global average reported by Williams and Weir in 2019. This shows the country's potential to increase the national donation rates. Interestingly, when asked about giving consent to having a cornea donated from a close relative, only 52.37% would consent. These statistics can guide process building and policy making at the national level and in medical institutions where these decisions are made. Another notable information gathered from the questionnaire is that more respondents encourage cornea donation than are willing to actually donate their corneas. This shows that a positive attitude towards donation does not necessarily translate to willingness to donate. As for the reasons for willingness, most patients stated that was due to the pure intention to help the needy and restore sight to him. This is similar to those reported in previous studies, including those by Williams and Weir and Sokia et al. For the reason behind refusal to donate their corneas, the most stated reason was due to a lack of knowledge about corneal transplants. This suggests that awareness may play a role in the Filipinos' willingness to donate their corneas. True enough, this was also made evident by the significant factors associated with increased willingness to donate. Those who have already heard of corneal donation and knows how to donate their corneas are more likely to donate their cornea, or more likely willing to donate their cornea. Other significantly associated factors are age, educational attainment, and having health professionals in the family. In our study, it was shown that younger age groups were more likely to be willing to donate their corneas compared to older age groups. Previous studies have shown contrasting results. In Turkey and Poland, similar results were obtained, while older people in Germany are more likely to donate their corneas. Higher education attainment, on the other hand, is consistently associated with increased willingness to donate, such as amongst us Filipinos based on the present study. Having a health professional in the family is also associated with increased willingness to donate among Filipinos. Previous studies have also shown that medical professionals are more likely consent to corneal donation. This puts a spotlight on medical professionals and their possible roles in increasing willingness to donate corneas. Sadly, although we have relatively high levels of willingness, only 3.55% are actual registered donors. As before, lack of awareness is the reason behind this, with the following as the most commonly stated reasons for not being registered donors. One, they do not know the process of donation, and lack of knowledge about corneal donation. This is unfortunate because it is actually quite easy to pledge to be a donor. This is the e-pledge page on the iBank's website. This is where you can fill in a card from the comfort of your own home. So it's sad that a lot of it's this easy, but a lot of those who responded did not know how to fill this up. So what now? The question now is, how do we further increase willingness and eventual actual registration? Based on our study, we can easily say, let's just increase awareness. But how do we do that too? We can get cues from answers from our questionnaire. If we'll go back to the sources of information on corneal donation, the source that was most frequently cited was mainstream media and social media. We can milk these platforms and widen the reach of information. Moreover, in the study, those with family members who are in the healthcare profession had higher willingness, proving that healthcare professionals are a vital resource in increasing willingness. We can utilize healthcare professionals as resources in raising awareness about corneal donation. So, to conclude, we have a relatively high rate of willingness to donate cornea among Filipinos, but with low rates of actual registration. Unwillingness and non-registration are attributed to lack of knowledge about the process of donation and transplantation. In this study, we also identified factors associated with willingness to donate the cornea among Filipinos, including younger age, awareness, higher educational attainment, and having a healthcare professional in the family. These pieces of information can help guide policymakers and society movers in raising awareness and willingness. Eventually, even donation rates among Filipinos. It is recommended that there be increased dissemination of information on how to donate cornea through social media and other publicity paraphernalia. For further studies, it is recommended to focus on increasing awareness about corneal donation, and it might be good to include health workers in the study population, as we can be instruments in increasing awareness and eventually donation as well. Also, and that's it for my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Trisha. So let's open the floor for questions or for inquiry towards Trisha. Siguro sa akin muna, in presenting, because this is not just a presentation para sa the competition or for, this is dissecting the results of your paper, so, or of your study. So I think it's better to present all answers, not just the top answers, no? Para then we can identify, baka mamaya may mga seemingly weird answers, but then yun pala yung reason nila, probably religion, 'di ba? So not just the top answers, but lay down all the answers that was given, no? And then you were presenting percentage kanina, but percentage is different from the level of significance. So I think you should still present the p values for that, no? Para even 50% may be high, pero or 70% may be high, but baka hindi yung significant, diba? So you have
Thank
to
you.
still show the level of significance per result. Any other comments or questions?
Trisha, one of the things that stood out was really the lack of knowledge of the process or lack of access to the process. No, it's not just knowledge. Parang wala rin silang access kasi doon kung paano mag-donate. No, so dalawa yon. Medyo hindi na discuss, hindi mo nasama sa discussion kung how you would want to address that. No, sa iyo awareness lang, awareness of donation and awareness of, but siguro put in some concrete examples of how to improve the
Okay.
actual registration, no? Like let's say example, in our hospital, dito na lang sa Makati Med, we do not offer donor cards, we do not offer donor registration on admission. Diba? Kasi pwede naman yun eh. Ang ginagawa natin kasi is we wait for the patient to die bago tayo pumupunta to ask for donation. It could be a normal SOP of patients being admitted to give them a kit for corneal, not for this admission but for yung ano nila, no? Or you even give to the relatives. The first touch point kasi is the admission, is the admitting section. Baka pwede ka maglagay doon ng mga flyers, etc., or kasama yun sa kit that they sign during admission. So those are some concrete examples, no? Unfortunately kasi sa atin, we wait until mamatay yung patient bago tayo mag-ask for donation, di ba? And the patients are the relatives are under duress, they're under stress, so hindi makapag, and then it becomes difficult also for the residents to ask if they want to donate, no? Kasi syempre grieving na yan eh. But if we have methods of getting them while they're healthy, no, during admission in outpatient centers, no, meron tayo mga registration for corneal donation doon, baka easier yun, not just for the patient but for the relatives as well. Tapos yun din, I would suggest that when you present it, list the reasons na lang, all of them, and then highlight mo lang yung top reasons. Pero naka-flash lahat ng reasons. Para we
Okay.
have an idea, no? Kasi ngayon yung top lang yung diniscuss mo as Rem said. Okay, thank
Okay
you.
po, Doc.
Dr. King? Yes.
Hi, Trisha. Thank you
Yes.
for this research. No, it's a bit surprising to see the results. No, that it's just because of lack of awareness that people are not able to donate or are not willing donors. Remembering that a few years back we had a big media mileage about corneal donation. The Corneal Bank of the Philippines has been with us for decades. So this is well, I didn't expect this, no. I thought the Filipinos were aware. Anyway, I just want to ask, how does the results of your study compare with other Asian countries and maybe Western countries? I just want to know if that has something to do with religion or culture, values. Did you make a comparison or are there other studies? Sa lit review mo.
Yes, Doc. I think the closest country that I've seen that is the closest country to us is Singapore that has reported this study and this topic as well. And I think near them naman. They're at around 68% willing. We're at 64.69%. So we're not that far, but we're far from US. I think US sometimes reaches 90% of willingness. But there are countries that only have 7.9%. I think those are also Asian countries that are more parang Islam than Catholic.
Yeah, because it's interesting to know Philippines is the only Catholic country in our region. And I know in some Some do not subscribe to that donation. Anyway, I just want to announce also that on November 6th, there is a seminar on deceased organ donation by Hope, no, here in Makati Med. So maybe it would be good for us to join forces with the other transplant committees here. Maybe they have some programs in place regarding increasing awareness. Maybe they might have yung before the patient dies, meron ng mga brochure kasama na dun yung cornea. So joining forces with them because we already have a framework here in the hospital. Aside from just putting posters, no? Yun lang. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
Maybe to add to that lang, Jan, no, we are already working with the transplant committee of the hospital. Unfortunately, they really are geared towards a different direction. No? Cadaveric ang ano talaga nila, ang kanilang hindi cadaveric. They're very hindi sila in tune to the needs of corneal transplant. No, maraming beses na nag-propose sila Joanna, sila Justin, no, and yet hindi nagmamaterialize. No. That is the frustration of the transplant, the cornea transplant committee with Makati Med also. We've been trying to push for voluntary donation at the initial touch points, pero hindi nila ma-support. No? So hopefully with this paper, we will be able to show them that it is not willingness that's the problem. It's the process of donating that, of registering as a corneal donor that is the problem. So this is going to be very helpful for the MMC transplant team also. So we will present this to them also. Joe and Justin, please take note na lang.
Yes, just curious lang. I'm sorry. Yeah, what is stopping them, or why are they not so
Budget.
budget?
Budget, wala silang panggawa ng yung corneal donation cards nga, wala. Yung pamphlet, wala. Hindi tayo makakuha ng budget. They're more because I think kidney transplants make more money. They are, a little bit more directed towards that. I'm not sure. And then a lot of times also, despite the efforts of the cornea transplant committee, hindi rin natatawag ang residents pag may namamatay, hindi rin kami ini-inform to talk to the family. So that's a very there's a weak link talaga sa transplant committee namin. But the transplant committee of the department is working hard to fix that. No? Kaya lang may limitations din sila. Undermanned din kasi ang hospital transplant committee.
Thank you.
Speaking
Hi,
of
can I share our I like what Dr. Valero was saying, that the frustration of not getting the support from marketing and from the hospital. I just wanted to show the contrast in Asian Hospital, where the hospital is really supporting our program there. So we even came up with like a concert by Bamboo, and we had 2 other events with Sarah Geronimo. So they really made an effort to help us with the donation. That's why Asian Hospital is the #1 private hospital in terms of corneal donation now. All because of that awareness program that we were able to do with the help of the hospital. So that's just showing that it's not, yun nga, sayang the lack of awareness, but we can do something about that, but then we're lacking the support that we need po. So yun lang po. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. So speaking of the process, Dr. Racoma has a question. How long does the process take to get the cornea? Since, of course, we understand that relatives are grieving, they want to settle the body of their relatives. So do we have any idea how long the process takes?
The ideal harvest time is within 12 hours. But as far as 24 hours or even longer, kaya pa rin. I mean, they've done that also na beyond 48 hours they've harvested, and they are able to get viable tissue naman. So if that's the question.
How about
We call the process
harvesting?
is the eye bank is the one. So they're the ones who are the harvesters. So we have to get in touch with the eye bank. And then right away naman may pupunta. So as long as
does it
may
take
consent na from the relatives or from the patient prior to his death,
would it
then
take
sige, what's your question?
would it take mga 3 hours, Doctora, 4 hours?
For the actual harvesting?
Yes, yes.
Well, I witnessed it myself for my mom when they harvested her cornea. Less than 1 hour lang. It's just like doing
Enucleation.
it's just like
Ay-
doing. I didn't watch it, but it's just like doing enucleation.
Okay po.
So
Any other
maybe less than 1 hour, yeah, the harvest time itself. But to get in touch with the iBank, they're very reliable naman and they can get to the place where they need to harvest within the time frame that's viable for the tissue.
Thank
Ayan,
you.
thank
Thank you po,
you.
Doctora. Any other questions? Doc Joan, you have questions for Trisha? Okay. So we'll just review the whole final report, final manuscript, Trisha. You have to submit it to Neil, to us, to Dr. Valero. We'll also provide a copy sa Viber group natin so that everyone can review and comment on your manuscript, no? Before submitting it to yeah. So, Kaya? Okay, so our second presenter is Kaya. Hopefully he'll graduate by December, so siya talaga yung may kailangan na mag-finalize ng paper and to submit it to all bodies.
Bakit naman hopefully? May duda ba? All right, sige.
Okay. You're not sharing. Okay, you can start.
Can you hear me now po?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. So I'll be presenting my paper, Diagnostic Performance. Video, I'm sorry. All right. So I'll be presenting my research paper entitled The Diagnostic Performance of a Low-Cost Portable Standalone Iridocorneal Angle Imaging Device, or known as the GonioCam, compared to conventional gonioscopy in outpatients of a tertiary hospital in the Philippines. So I'm the primary investigator, and with me is my secondary investigator, Dr. Victor Paulino. Sorry. So glaucoma is the leading cause of irreversible blindness worldwide, projected to affect over 111 million by the year 2040. Early detection and management are crucial to prevent vision loss, with gonioscopy being the gold standard for evaluating the iridocorneal angle. Conventional gonioscopy, however, is operator dependent, requires specialized equipment, and may cause discomfort, limiting its widespread use, particularly in resource limited settings or areas without slit lamps available. Technological advancements have introduced different imaging modalities, one of which is the ASOCT and the ultrasound biomicroscopy for evaluation of the iridocorneal angle. So while these provide detailed images, they are often cost prohibitive and lack portability. There is a pressing need for affordable portable devices that can facilitate glaucoma screening and diagnosis without compromising diagnostic accuracy, which is why the GonioCam it was designed and built. So a 3D printed portable standalone ophthalmic microscope has been developed to address these challenges. So it offers the ability to do dynamic gonioscopy and video capture capabilities, features which are not available in any other portable devices here in the market. By providing a low-cost, user-friendly solution, the GonioCam has the potential to improve glaucoma screening, especially in underutilized areas. So for the objectives of the study, the primary objectives is to assess the preliminary accuracy and agreement of the GonioCam compared to conventional gonioscopy. And secondary objectives are as follows. So the research was designed as a descriptive cross-sectional pilot study conducted at the Ophthalmology Outpatient Department of Makati Medical Center, and the study protocol was reviewed and approved by the International Institutional Review Board of MMC. So for the sample size, we used the pilot study sample size of 22 eyes, and this was chosen from a suggested range of 15 to 30 subjects from the previous studies done to assess feasibility and preliminary outcomes. So 22 is well within the range of the suggested number of participants in a pilot study. So for the participants, the inclusion criteria includes patients with the Makati Medical Center Ophthalmology Outpatient Clinic, age 19 or older, male and female, eyes with healthy eyes, iridocorneal angles, or even those with known iridocorneal angle pathologies. And we exclude patients who have open globe trauma, new onset lymphoma, post-operative ocular conditions, and those with contraindications for ocular anesthesia, since we will be using topical anesthesia for the patients. The sampling method was non-probability convenience sampling. Selecting patients who met the inclusion criteria during the study period was more convenient this way. So the study adhered to the Declaration of Helsinki, and approval was obtained from the MMC Institutional Review Board. Informed consent was obtained from all patient participants prior to doing the study. So just a flow for the study. So once the study participants were identified, assessment of their eligibility was done. Then informed consent was obtained. Then once the patient had informed consent or was given informed consent, the patient underwent GonioCam imaging using the device. After which the patient was then brought to the glaucoma specialist, who would then do gonioscopy and document the findings from using a goniogram, which is the gold standard for documenting gonioscopy findings. Then the images were masked and randomized. Then rating of agreeability between the GonioCam images and goniogram were done, and tabulation interpretation of the findings were done. We'll go into this later. So for conventional gonioscopy, we utilize the gonio lenses, either a 4-mirror, a 3-mirror, flange or non-flange. So this is the image of the GonioCam. This is the 3D printed shell and the lens holder mechanism for the main device itself. This designed 3D model was then 3D printed using a 3D printer and PLA plastic filament in the ophthalmology office in Makati Medical Center. So this is a picture of the actual device. So on the left side, you have the LED light controller here, which controls all the colors, all the brightness of the main ring lights. You have the focus adjustment wheel and the warm white light dimmer here for dimmable light sources. And you have the 5 megapixel Type-C camera here. On the other side, you have a detachable Bluetooth button, so you can take images using the button shutter itself or from the device it's connected to. And it's connected to a 1000 milliampere hour battery. So the device light source can last about, I haven't tried the full, but more than 6 hours of continuous use. So here's a picture of the camera detached from the main device, and we have the 3D printed lens holder here. So this is height adjustable. So when you place the Vogue 3 mirror Ganyo lens, which we used in this study for all participants, you can move up the lens holder up and down to get a view of the different mirror. But we only use one of the mirrors here, which was the one for the angle viewing. This lens holder is also interchangeable for use in future projects for retinoscopy, but we didn't go into that in this study. For the light sources, there are three main light sources. You have the 16 LED outer adjustable multicolor LEDs here. We have 8 inner adjustable multicolor LEDs in the center, and we have the dimmable warm white light, all controlled by the remote and the dimmable light switch. So the complete set of the device includes the GonyoCam itself and a standalone GonyoCam Raspberry Pi computer. However, you can actually connect the device itself to any Android, iOS phone, Windows PC, or Macintosh laptop. And you can actually use any lens for this device, but we use only one lens for all patients, which was the 3-mirror lens for the GonyoCam. So some of the unique features of the GonyoCam is its ability to take videos, do dynamic gonioscopy. Oh my goodness, what happened? Sorry. Do dynamic gonioscopy. The interchangeable lenses means that you can actually use a 4-mirror lens to do indentation gonioscopy. It actually has adjustable focus for anterior segment imaging and external eye documentation. And with the added benefit that examination can be done in any patient position. So you can test the patient while the patient is supine, sitting down, which is not conventional and has not yet been done because no other device is able to do it until now. So for the data collection, we have the sample collection here. So we had 22 samples from 11 patients. So each participant underwent imaging of the iridocorneal angle using the GonyoCam. So this was one sample of the 22 eyes that we tested. Then 4 quadrants were imaged, then collated into one continuous image. Then the patient was then brought to the glaucoma specialist where the patient was also underwent gonioscopy. And a goniogram was done to document the gonioscopy findings. So just to orient everyone, so this is a Becker's goniogram, and the rings correspond to different structures seen in the eye. So the inner ring is the pupil. This dark ring here in the first is the ciliary body band. The outer white area is the scleral spur. Here's the pigmented trabecular meshwork. The anterior trabecular meshwork, and the outer ring is the Schwalbe's line. So once these are done, so the images from the GonyoCam and the goniogram are placed side by side, and we have 3 raters who rated the agreeability between the GonyoCam image and the goniogram. So they will either rate them with 2 values. 0 does not agree, or 1 it agrees. So agreeability is also in the term of angle structure seen in the image from the GonyoCam compared to the goniogram. So raters may also give comments regarding the comparison of the image, if more structures are seen on the Gonyo cam image or not. And data collected will be tabulated and statistical analysis will be done. So here are just some examples of the angle structure seen using the Gonyo cam. So here are fine iris processes. We actually have an enclavated retropupillary iris claw lens seen here. We have pigmentation seen on the Schwalbe's line, and some high peripheral anterior synechia or PAS seen in ICE syndrome. So for the results for the patient graphics, a total of 22 eyes from 11 patients were included with a mean age of 40.45 years, ranging from 25 to 77-year-old. 5 males and 6 females were included in the study. There were 18 eyes that had open angles, and 4 had known angle pathologies or closed angles. For the statistical analysis, we opted to do rater agreement statistics. So we utilize Cohen's kappa, which is a level of agreement between two raters, and the Fleiss kappa, which is a reliability of agreement among multiple raters. And the statistical analysis was done using the JASP 0.19.0.1 software. So for the Cohen's kappa, it was seen here that rater 1 and rater 2 had a kappa value of 1, which showed perfect agreement, meaning for all the images and the goniograms, they actually agreed that the two images agreed. For rater 2 and rater 3, we achieved a kappa value of 0.452, which indicates moderate agreement, since for some images, the other rater actually uh, inputted that it does not agree with the image shown. The image from the goniocam does not agree with the goniogram. So for two of the inter-rater we had a 0.452, which indicates moderate agreement, and one between two raters we have a kappa value of 1. For the Fleiss kappa, or the collective value, so we grouped together all of the raters who agreed on the per subject and those who disagreed, and we got a value of 0.596. And this means that approximately the 0.596 indicates moderate agreement among the raters, which was significant. So for the diagnostic performance, the goniocam demonstrate the substantial agreement in terms of diagnostic capabilities compared to conventional gonioscopy, as seen by the kappa values, which indicates that the goniocam may be a good tool with good agreement with the gold standard use, which was the goniogram. For clinical implications, the goniocam's portability and low-cost production makes it ideal for use in remote and resource-limited settings. Its unique ability for dynamic gonioscopy and video capture provides added value, which is not available in other devices currently. And the challenges shown, while the initial operator training is required, the learning curve using the device is actually minimal. And the design can still be improved to make the device smaller and lighter. Maybe given more time and more resources, this can be done. So the limitations of the study were as follows: the sample size. So being a pilot study, the sample size limits the generalizability of the results. The sampling methods used, the convenience sampling may introduce selection bias. And this was also just a single center study, so findings may not reflect experiences in different settings. And also only one operator used the device to get the images. So for the future direction of this study, future research with larger randomized samples is recommended. Integration with telemedicine platforms could enhance remote diagnostics, and device enhancements to greater provide portability and size, improve the portability and size. So in conclusion to this, the Cognicram is a promising low-cost portable device offering comparable diagnostic accuracy to conventional gonioscopy. Its unique features position it as an effective tool for improving glaucoma screening and management, particularly in underserved areas. And further studies are suggested to validate these findings. So before I end, I just want to show the actual device is actually connected to my laptop right now. I'm not sure if you can see. If you could, yeah. So the device itself is connected to my screen. There. Kita ba?
No.
Yeah, kita. So
You can
this
see
is
it.
ako hindi ko kita. Sorry.
I'll pin you.
Ipin mo yan. So so this is just to demonstrate its remote diagnostic capabilities and use for telemedicine and other. So
Remove your share.
I'll just stop share. So yeah. So I'll just focus. This is my skin. Uh, yeah, so it has good focusing ability. I'll just focus it on my eyes so that you can all see. Diba? So this is one way that we can utilize the device to for external examination. And you can also use any lens for the lens holder to do gonioscopic imaging. So yeah. Yeah.
Hinaan mo naman.
So the image is you can focus the image and it's adjustable. So it works just like slit lamp, but it's portable. So that ends my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kaya. So, first question is Dr. Carmela, how much is the cost of the Gonyo cam compared to the Gonyo lens?
Actually, Doc, the Gonyo lens, you can use any Gonyo lens. So the Gonyo cam itself, I would price it to around less than 5,000 pesos for the whole device if you won't include the separate computer because you can attach it to any computer naman. But the Gonyo lens, you can buy a cheap 3-mirror lens from Hollywood at around 1,000 pesos only. So all in all, you can get one of this, the whole package for about 5,000 pesos or less.
I think to answer also the question of Dr. Carmela, the Gonyo cam should be compared to a cost of a slit lamp because actually yung Gonyo lens is a variable. Any Gonyo lens we can use, no? Pero ang alternate kasi nung Gonyo cam ni Kaya is the slit lamp itself, that we can use it without the use of a slit lamp.
Yes.
How
Can you
much is
repeat?
how much is a commercially available Gonyo cam?
There's no commercially available Gonyo cam yet, Doc. From
Wala
my
pa.
research, the closest one is the Gonyo pen, which is still in research, and it costs $3,500 US.
Okay.
And that's just specifically for gonioscopic imaging. It doesn't have the ability to actually do external eye examinations as well.
Dr. Mitzi, Kaya, can you flash your limitations?
My
Dr.
limitations.
Acosta is asking for the limitations. Before that, Dr. Mitzi, your question po.
Ay, kaya, congrats ha. Anyway, ito lang yung so
Sorry, Doc, I can't hear you, Doc.
now can you hear me? Sorry.
We can hear you, Doctor.
Okay, so congrats first of all. Good job. No, it's very promising. Kaya lang sa ending kasi if you're going to present this, make a short video lang. A very short video of how you would apply the Gonyo lens onto the device to show also how you would perform it on the patient. Parang live. So, yun yung pwede mong gawing final clip yon. Very short lang. Or if not video, photo shots. Images lang.
Yes, Doc.
Ano lang, para mas ma-visualize sila how easy it will be to utilize and how easy it will be to put together the system. No? Yun lang.
Thank you, Doc. Yes, we'll do that, Doc.
Thank you, Doctora. So Pat, these are the limitations of Kaya: the small sample size, the sampling method, and single center study. Kaya, I have a question. What's the reason for the disagreement? I know it's not part of the presentation, pero for the sake of discussion, what's the reason for the disagreement?
For one particular subject or one particular patient with the two eyes, the goniogram actually showed closed angles, and the images from the image analyzed by one rater showed that she actually was able to see some structures, which I think is attributable to the differences in lighting, and the image which was sent and transferred via PDF, so the image quality some was lost to the So she she rated that 0 because it didn't coincide for her with the goniogram, which showed closed angles. It showed that she was actually able to see some angles. So
On the goniocam.
on the goniocam.
So one reason is lighting.
Lighting, or one more thing that could have been the issue, I could have pressed too much on the cornea, but this is a flange, so flange lens, so that shouldn't have affected that much. But I'm really pointing it more on the lighting of and the degraded image quality, because I had to send it via PDF.
Okay. So because I think the lighting is a factor, no?
Yes.
During gonioscopy, we are taught na use the dimmest light, dim
Yes.
the room, so to mimic the
Natural
natural response of the eye. And during using your goniocam, medyo maliwanag talaga siya,
Yes.
no?
That's why the addition of the dimmable light was added. So for all the patients, I was actually using half light for all of the patients na doc, with this study.
Any other, Dr. Mitzi, you have
Yeah, I had that was also one of my questions, no? How to make your pictures more consistent. Sorry, Kaya, I wasn't able to grade kasi last night ko lang nakita yung pictures mo. But I do have to agree that there were some issues with image quality. So my question kasi really now will go to the type of lens that you will use eventually, kasi that will affect if your angles are open or not. Even with the flanged, this will falsely open your angles a lot of times, no? Kasi baka nape-press mo. Or sometimes, pwede rin naman siya mag-close kasi baka you tilted your lens a bit, no? And the lighting. It's either this will be I'm sure this is going to be posted, no? The degree of lighting that you will be needing for this type of lens, no? Kasi yung quality can be a bit degraded. Some of the pictures, especially if you sent it to some of the pictures kasi that I was looking at, lalo na pag very pigmented, mahirap makita yung details. So I think
Yes.
it will be a problem. Because I was looking at it, so parang doon tayo magkakagulo. So I think, again, you have to, when that is raised to you with question and answer portion, the quality of imaging, how will you be able to improve on it?
Yes, doc. Actually, for that po, doc, I actually analyzed the pictures nga. The good thing about this nga, doc, is instead of just taking pictures, I was able to take videos during the gonioscopy. So if ever there was any disagreement with the finding scene, I adjusted the light and the from primary position of the lenses and was able to see the actual angles in the video, the structure scene. So I think that's one advantage also of being able to video what you're doing. It's not just a static image. You're able to actually, if there's disagreement between a finding, you can actually go back to the video and uh see firsthand if the structure scene are actually open or not.
In this study, kunyari nagkaroon nga ng disagreement between your assessors, did you do a follow? That's it. That question, that the way that you answered it, did you follow up with a video and then showed it to them again, and then did they agreement with those?
No na po, doc, because
na.
hindi siya actually na-encounter ko lang siya nung nagpa-grade na ako, which was a few days ago then. Pero yun nga, for most of the patients actually after nung first half, I did video gonioscopy na lang din, then took the images per quadrant para mas ano. So
Okay.
I think that's one way to parang
Yeah.
circumvent yung limitation.
Oh, so I think you have to make note of that. Tapos tingnan mo na rin, siguro follow up kung nag-agree or not agree sila with that video that you took.
Yes, doc. Yes, doc.
Kasi ano to, you're kind of thinking of the usability and reliability of your device.
Yes, doc.
Although nasabit mo na yung ano, just put it there na lang. All right.
Yes, doc.
Thank you, Dr. Any other questions or
I have a question.
yes, Dr. Dr.
Um,
King?
Yeah, for example nga, it's same question as Dr. Mitzi, about reliability. If I were the user and not a specialist, how would I know whether I'm already getting a good, an accurate reading or image? Are there what factors should I look into aside from the proper lighting, the proper pressure? So how would I be able to know that I'm getting a good one?
Actually, Doc, gonioscopy itself is a skill talaga that most ophthalmologists are able to do, but some are, it's very hard to actually practice. Which is why, for this particular study, Doc, I haven't set the guidelines on how to get a good picture yet of how I know, but I just followed what I would do if I was doing this on a slit lamp, because the portable microscope is actually just like a portable slit lamp. So since it's able to focus on the angle structures, I would just suggest that you get the clearest picture of the angle structures seen as possible, and get the best. You start off with the dimness of the light starting from 50%, then you adjust from there. And I would suggest also to utilize the video function, just in case you're parang hesitant that you're getting something, getting a bad image or not, because most probably with the video you're able to better analyze the angle structures more than just a static image. But for the purposes of this study, the protocol was for pictures, so we utilize pictures lang talaga. Maybe in the future, once this is more refined and polished, I can set up parang how-to guide for the best gonyo pictures, to take, and how to take the best pictures using this device.
Ken, thank you, Dr. Ken, you have a question?
Yeah. Hi, Kaya, congratulations. This is more of a question sa presentation. Maybe Dr. Valero and Rem, you can also comment on this. For me, kasi parang the highlight of your topic was really the device, and that you mismo created like this novel device, diba? Parang, I know you're pressed for time in presenting, but it would have also been nice to know more about it. Like, what's the full capabilities? Like maybe a short video of how it works in action.
Mm.
I don't know lang. I'm not that keen on the research part, but for me, kasi parang that was the highlight of this. It was a novel device that a resident created. Um, Maybe a little more time, or sana some side by side videos or pictures of the actual device, what it's fully capable of, might
Mm.
make parang change, even explicitly saying that you made it, parang that wasn't really communicated well, I think na. And people, I think, would be proud. MMC would be proud to know na ginawa mo yan. So yun lang, maybe the more experienced researchers can comment on how that presentation could be, on how that presentation would be, if ever. I don't know, what do you think?
Yeah,
I think
thank
that
you,
can
Ken.
be worked on later, no? But as Rem said kanina, for the purposes of this presentation, we want the data then for the results, no, of the agreement ng findings, because that's the significance of the study, is that it doesn't, you know it's nice that it's a new thing, that it was thought of by Kaya, but it will be useless if there's no agreement with the standard of care. So yun din yung kailangan i-highlight. But I agree, kailangan siguro mas may finesse sa presentation, Kaya, in terms of graphics. Maybe you can make, I don't know, animation or whatever, just to make everything mas understandable, and in your head kasi naiintindihan mo, no? Yung audience mo hindi rin nakikita, hindi pa alam. So take note of that, no? So step away from the presentation so that you can assess. Oh, okay.
Actually, the question of Dr. Valero is, can you adjust the light post acquisition? I mean,
Yes. Actually,
I was asking this kasi if your issue is light, then you can take it with very low lighting. Kasi even a 50% illumination can still cause your, up close, it will still cause your pupil to constrict. Diba?
yeah.
So,
Actually, we can do that, Doc. Actually, do it in PowerPoint. So you can actually, for everyone na you can actually just do corrections tapos make it
mag-correction ka na lang.
sharper or ano. But I wanted it to be consistent. So what I got from the that's what I used na lang, Doc.
Sige lang. Okay lang, but eventually you might that can be part of it also.
Actually, what Kaya
yeah.
is flashing right now are the actual 22 patients taken for this study.
Yeah, so these were the images taken from them compared to the goniogram made by our secondary investigators, and these were the ones that were rated for their agreeability. So
Hi Kaya, me
yes,
again.
Doc.
Yung, di ba yung video clip or the photo clips that I was asking kanina?
Yes, Doc.
So again, daming input na. So at least one, you can show what are the recommended settings for this particular. I know there's room for improvement, but for this particular model that you make,
Yes,
ano yung
Doc.
recommended lighting mo? Ano yung recommended hand position? So that your pictures, para hindi mahaba, should show already the recommended hand position when the patient is sitting down,
Yes,
and
Doc.
recommended hand position when the patient is lying down. Okay? Also, kasi that will affect the tilt, di ba? And then, where the light source, also the amount of light that you'll be given, no? And then you show also in that picture, kunyari, if you put full light, anong itsura ng image na makukuha mo versus the one that you recommend. So para makita nila yung difference, if they use this particular amount of lighting lang, you get the maximum clarity or quality from your device. Okay? And
Yes, Doc.
para it's more, i-picture mo na lang kasi ang hirap mag-explain. Pag
Doc.
nag-i-explain mo lahat yon, it will take too much of your time. So just make snippets lang on how to apply it, how to put assemble that device of yours,
Yeah.
how to apply it on the patient, both sitting and lying down, and how much light you get, and how much light you need pala, and then show the difference between too much, too little, and just right.
Okay, Doc.
Para
I'll include that din dun sa parang section of the device itself.
recommendations mo, at and then parang just to simplify things lang for you. Okay?
Yes, Doc. Okay, Doc.
All right. So everybody likes it, kaya maraming comment, ha?
Yes, Doc. Of course.
Thank you, Doctora. So any other questions or comments for Kaya? Pwede rin pala tong pang party pagka nanalo na, no?
Pang children, Doc. Look at the moving lights.
Pag gumawa ako ng isa pa, bibili ako. Pero may discount.
Yes, Doc. The next one will be Doc, a lot smaller. I'm actually working on it na, pero siguro pag-graduate ko na lang.
Ay, oo, pati pala hand size.
Yes, Doc.
Iteration, big hands, small hands. Ease of use.
Yes,
Okay.
this one's for a right-handed person kasi, Doc. Pero
Naku,
pwede.
pati ano pa pala, laterality.
Pero yun nga, that was something na lang.
Oo.
After the fact na pero can be used pa rin naman, Doc, by a left-handed person.
Okay.
Doc Sherman, you have any other comments or questions po? I think okay. Now, I'm gonna disconnect si Doc Sherman. So again, congratulations to Trisha and Kaya for the presentation. Please refine your manuscript, and then the deadline for PAO will be on the
18th, diba?
18th, no? So, pero don't submit on the 18th because we have to check it pa, especially Neil and Dr. Valero and the rest of the research committee, no? So please finalize the manuscript this weekend. Okay, thank you so much again for attending today's conference. Have a good weekend po.